The Ice and the Iron. Year 793 AD. Scandinavia. The winter is unforgiving. The soil is rocky, and the fjords are frozen solid. When we think of the Vikings, our minds instantly rush to images of roaring warriors, blood-stained axes, and massive longships raiding European shores. But away from the battlefields, how did these people actually survive the brutal northern wilderness? The truth is, raiding was a seasonal job. For the rest of the year, survival meant mastering the art of the hunt. In the deep, dark forests and icy waters of the north, the Vikings weren't just apex warriors. They were apex predators. Today, we are stripping away the myths. Let's step into the frozen wild and discover exactly how the Vikings hunted to survive. The hunter's arsenal. To hunt in the harsh Scandinavian terrain, you needed weapons that were reliable, lightweight, and deadly. While swords were expensive prestige weapons reserved for combat, a Viking hunter relied on a completely different toolkit. First and foremost, the bogi, the Viking bow. Viking bows were typically long bows, made from a single piece of yew, ash, or elm wood. They weren't just used for warfare. They were an essential daily tool. Archaeologists have found specialized hunting arrows with broad, flat iron heads designed to cause massive bleeding, ensuring large game like deer or elk would go down quickly. But the bow wasn't the only weapon. Enter the veið, or hunting spear. Unlike combat spears, Viking hunting spears often featured distinct wings or lugs just below the blade. Why? If you were facing a raging wild boar or a massive brown bear, these wings prevented the wounded, furious animal from sliding further down the shaft of the spear to attack you. It kept danger at a safe distance. However, the cleverest hunters didn't just rely on brute force. They used physics and patience. Pitfall traps, deep holes dug into known animal migration paths, lined with sharp stakes and camouflaged with branches, were used to capture entire herds of reindeer at once. Tracking the giants of the forest. So, what were they hunting? In the dense forests of modern-day Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, the ultimate prizes were red deer, roe deer, massive elk, and reindeer. But tracking a reindeer through waist-deep snow on foot is a death sentence for a human. So how did the Vikings solve this? They wore skis. Yes, the Vikings were avid skiers. In Norse mythology, there is even a god of skiing, Ullr, and a goddess, Skaði, who is explicitly associated with bow hunting on skis. Wooden skis allowed Viking hunters to glide effortlessly over deep snowdrifts, tracking prey at speeds the animals simply couldn't match in the powder. But hunting wasn't always about food. Sometimes it was about glory, ritual, and protection. Hunting apex predators like the wolf or the Eurasian brown bear was the ultimate test of a man's courage. To kill a bear with a spear was a rite of passage. The meat was eaten, the fat was used for fuel, and the thick fur was turned into clothing or bedding. Wearing a bear cloak or a wolf skin wasn't just a fashion choice. It was a psychological statement that you had conquered the fierce spirit of the wild, the frozen seas and the coast. While the forests provided venison and furs, the true lifeblood of the Viking world was the ocean. Coastal hunting was a brutal, wet, and highly dangerous affair. The targets here? Seals, walruses, and whales. Seals were hunted along the rocky shores using specialized harpoons with detachable heads connected to ropes. A single seal provided a wealth of resources: calorie-dense meat, thick skins for waterproofing boots, and blubber, which was melted down into oil for lamps to light up the dark Scandinavian winters. But the ultimate jackpot for a coastal community was the walrus. Walrus hunting required traveling far north into the Arctic Circle, to places like Greenland and Iceland. Vikings hunted them not just for food, but for global trade. Walrus ivory was the white gold of the medieval world. It was carved into luxury goods, chess pieces, and jewelry, and traded all the way to Constantinople and the Middle East. And if a whale happened to wash ashore, or if a community successfully drove a pod of small whales into a shallow fjord, it was a cause for massive celebration. A single whale could feed an entire village for months. When the hunt was over, nothing went to waste. The meat kept the clan alive through winters where crops could never grow. The bones and antlers were carved into combs, needles, and game pieces. The hides kept the freezing winds at bay. The Vikings were undoubtedly fierce raiders and brilliant sailors, but their empires were built on a foundation of basic survival skills: